You're turning into E2 for real. When it comes to fashion, she got no chill.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, E2 for real. I'm E2 and I'm here with
Zik Nwanganga,
Jalen Brooks,
Viola and Yanni. And today is going to be another episode of For Real Chats on my channel. The last video did pretty well, so we're going to tackle another subject. We're going to do kind of the blurred lines between like African American and African culture. So, and kind of everything that encompasses. I have a variety of people here, like different types of people. Jalen is African American, then me and Viola are African, and then Zeke is actually, well, we're African, but we live
in the United States, but I was
here, but he's an international student. So let's start with kind of the past. So we're gonna go past, present, future, and then just everything that embodies, and we'll start the discussion like that.
We've been called names, we've been everything that you could think of. We were called burnt raisins, African booty scratchers, and all these things. We were too African for white people and black people, but we're also too white for our Africans because we spoke English or we carried ourselves in a different way than someone who came straight from Africa.
Me personally, I've never really thought that, I've never been the type to be mean to an African person or anything. I actually have an uncle who's like from Africa that I've been around since I was really young. So I think it's definitely a part of African Americans. When we see Africans, we're like, wow, this person is black, but they're clearly different from me, So, and I think that's when, the jokes come in and everything, because it's just human nature that people, tease people for being different from them, and that's really wrong.
Yeah.
But also, I just really think that a part of maybe African Americans being disrespectful or rude to Africans is really a small, unconscious amount of like self-hate, really.
Okay, I want to touch on that. So, do you feel like, okay, so with white people towards African Americans, it's kind of like they are their oppressor. You feel me? So I think that in some ways African Americans want to feel like they can, like, I don't know if this sounds bad, but they feel like they can, like they can one up somebody else.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where it kind of stems from. But Zeke, like being here, coming like straight from Africa, like how do you feel?
I can't say for like I've been here like a year, so it's a little different for me because like African Americans who see me, okay, they're really happy because they like that originality. Like they want to see that vibe like of African, someone who's actually African and like he represents Africa, and they want to be like I want to get close to you, And sometimes I kind of get distant because there's some conversations that I can't be part of. Like I don't understand what's going on, and like I feel excluded in those conversations, and I can't even. It's hard for me to try and be closer because it's not my culture, and it's hard for me to like communicate in certain ways, and I feel a lot more excluded because it's a different culture definitely, and it's different for me coming from Africa and coming here, and like all the news in the news you be hearing a lot of things about African Americans, and then you just want to be like maybe watchful in some kind of way, but here I feel like the African Americans here are really friendly. The ones I've met are kind of friendly. They're kind of be like they want to know me. They want to know what my story is. I don't feel like they are in some way being really being ignorant about like African culture and stuff. They really want to know you and like be like I want to know what what is your story and like be friends with you basically.
I think that's what kind of sets like us apart from you because you're living in the now when we've lived in the past and how it was. And we can kind of like transition into like how it is now. I feel like now African Americans want to know more. Like they want to know like their roots or where they come from, and things like that. And you can see it. Yeah, you can see it in like I don't know, woke people. Woke people want to know about Africa and like things like that, and listen to Afro beats and wear that shit.
Things like that. The thing for me is with that whole thing, I am so excited for this whole new thing that now we're African Americans, they want to talk to us, they want to get to know about us, they want to get to know how it's like back there. Because, like, again, I always get the questions like, oh my gosh, how is it there?
Yeah.
And what's this? And the food and stuff.
And our skin is beautiful now, where it used to be like,
we're being recognized now because our skin is different. They always say, I love your skin, and what do you use? And so I'm just like, I don't know, this is how I am, this is how I grew up. I guess my African son is what I always say.
I think it's definitely like African Americans are definitely more interested in learning about African culture and everything now, and I think that it's just a part of, you know, I think now we realize everything that African Americans have been through, our history, and how our history has really been compromised by, you know, the white man. But when we look at Africans, you know, we see like this is authentic, you know, this is where I'm from, this is my history, you know, this is really who I am, this is the only thing I have, because I mean our history here in America, as we know, didn't, you know, start the right way. So, you know, I think that now that we understand the oppression that we've been through, you know, you look at Africa as a place where, you know, it's liberating, you know.
Yeah, and again, like I was saying, it's really exciting, but, you know, I also gotta say, give credit where credit is due, because I feel like that kind of gets lost. Everyone's wearing the dashikis, and I've been seeing a lot on Instagram, these girls, when they go all out for their proms and stuff, they want to wear the whole African patterns and want to make their prom dresses out of those.
Yeah.
But they don't quite give credit where credit's due. They just kind of take it and make it their own. But again, that's not fair, because whenever we used to wear our stuff, because I had a lot of stuff that I used to wear that I
we get made fun of wearing stuff like that.
You gotta pay homage.
Yeah, and like I think it's not fair. I'm full on for being woke and knowing where you come from and your roots and where your ancestors came from, and wanting to immerse yourself in that culture. But also, you know, like, again, give credit where credit is due. Don't take it and make it into your own and then try to put your own spin into it.
Also, like, if it comes from a place of authenticity, that's when I support it, because I feel like we have come a long way. But when it comes from a place of like, oh, that's what's cool now, so that's what I want to do, that's when it's like, that's really
because
annoying.
it's cool now, I want to do it. But that's not why you should do it. You should do it because this is where you come from. This is, you know.
Another person's culture isn't a trend.
Exactly.
Culture, so you shouldn't practice it just because it's trendy.
But then people could also argue that it's like, because we're so similar that we're like all black people, that it's kind of like,
that we have the right to do it just like y'all.
And because you came from Africa, essentially.
Yeah, because like I feel like the thing is, it's kind of like a generational thing. Like now people are more diverse in their thinking, and like you have a lot of friends, like a lot of people coming together, unlike maybe 20 years ago or 10 years ago, where like people are like subject to themselves and like don't want to communicate with each other. But now this generation is more friendly and more, you know, educated. Like there's technology, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's like Instagram. Like everyone can connect. You can connect with anyone from around the world. So you actually kind of know about people who you didn't know about back then. So that's why I feel like there's more relationship with people trying to find out more, because they actually have friends who are like that. You know, unlike before, everyone's kind of excluded. Everyone wants to be in their own shelter. But like right now, people are trying to go out. And I feel like the next generation of you know, Black Americans, like African Americans, like Africans, are gonna be more, you know, more closer, like close knit.
I would love for that unity too.
You know, and like you see like an African American mind, like an African person. That's something like was like back maybe 20 years ago. It's hard to find, but now it's a normal thing. Like people, I want to be like, yeah, I want to marry someone from Africa, man. I just want to go back home and like.
But it's like weird sometimes, because it could be a fetish, like. Some people just love African people just because.
Just because
like
you're African
being with
people.
the white dude just because they're white. It's just weird.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the next generation is gonna be. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna improve more. It's gonna be a lot more. Like it's not gonna be excluded, because like the more you have African Americans, like Africans in your family, you begin to like learn this culture. So like when you have conversations, you actually know things about who you're talking to. So that way you guys can be more friends, you guys can communicate more and not be strangers of each other, you know.
And that's exciting, because like, you know, like you said, the more you have these two different cultures coming together, the more you learn about each other. Like there's some things that I don't know about the Black community. People ask me, like, oh, so do you know how to cook collard greens? It's like, I don't even know. I've never had that. But I know how to cook something else because I'm from Africa, and I can't ask them the same thing because they don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But the more we come together, we can share that with each other, and the more fun cookouts would be.
So we're just gonna tie up loose ends and kind of talk about moving towards the future. Like what are we gonna see between the two cultures? two groups of people. We kind of already touched on it with Zeke saying that we're gonna kind of like progressively gel and just
come together. Cause like, it's like, so like back then I feel like a lot of like African Americans were not really interested to like learn about, you know, Africans and stuff because they were not really affected by their culture.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry guys, I need a new camera.
Okay, but like right now it's definitely affecting everyone, you know. The music is affecting everyone, you know. You see like I said, Wizkid, you see P Square, and like you see a lot of comedians from Africa. You know, we see Michael Blackson, he's from Ghana, you know, so like it's affecting everybody. Yeah, and his jokes are like straight out from Africa. Like he be putting that music out there whenever like he comes on. So like it's affecting everybody. Like you something you got to know. Like you need to know about this, you know. Although it's negative in the sense that if you're doing it just because of the trend, you know, that's where it goes negative. But I feel like you should know it because it's something you have to know as a person. You know, you have to be part of this culture because the next generation is going to be so diverse, and like you can't even differentiate who is, you know, African and who's not African American because everybody's not coming together. Sometimes I see like African Americans. Sometimes I'm not gonna say I'm scared, but sometimes
no,
their jokes like they have jokes that I don't understand, and I have jokes that they don't understand. So like it's hard for me to communicate because I don't know what to say sometimes.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know where I'm
like an anxiety.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna fall off. Like I don't know where I'm gonna say something like that's not good, and like they'd be like, oh,
what?
Yeah,
you know?
like what are you talking about?
Yeah, and I'm like that's why. So I can like stay away and just watch from a distance and be like, let me just observe this, let me see what's going on, you know, and not get into it and be lost. And you're like, oh, okay. And they be like, okay, I want you to dance right now. I can't do that dance. Like, I only know how to do short people. I can't do like kick it, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's kind of different. I kind of like stay a little bit away and like understand if you're African or if you're African American and you really want to know like my culture. Like, I'm interested in your culture, but do you want to know my culture? So that way we can like have a place where we can come together and be like, okay, this is where we might match, you know, this is where we can like actually conversate and talk to each other. You
Conversation does wonders.
Yeah.
You talk to each other.
Business.
You talk to each other and you get to know each other, and you talk about how here's how I felt, and then you tell me how you feel, and then how can we fix this? How can we work together? How can we do better? And that's when we move forward. That's when we can actually enjoy each other's company and enjoy each other's culture and not feel like, oh, maybe I should like lay this one low real quick so I don't make a fool out of myself or something.
Yeah.
So conversation.
Yeah, and I definitely think, you know, people are definitely getting closer, just because I think a black pride movement is kind of happening. People are now proud to be black. I really think that things are getting better when it comes to like complexion issues amongst black people, you know. I think that people are starting to embrace beautiful dark skin, you know, like they would lighter skin. So I think that's healing everything, because I think complexion really was a big part of the divide between African Americans and Africans.
But it's crazy because there's African people that look like you, like, but it's
it's crazy.
And there's African Americans who
that look like
you.
I feel like a lot of the hate came from like within themselves, like you said, Jalen. Like it was just self-hate.
But now I'm all cool, like, you know, oh, she's dark, let's go hang out with her.
I touched on this on my last video about colorism.
That melanin. Yeah, it's like, okay, you were just making fun of me. What's going on?
I mean, since for years, like, African Americans have been told for generations that black is not beautiful. The lighter you are, the more beautiful you are, and all of that. So that's why you see that self-hate come out. And black people probably don't even realize that they have that in them, but it's there just through generations of, you know, propaganda and things being fed to us.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that episode of For Real Chats, comment below and I'll do more, and I'll get more guests to appear on my channel. If you agree with the discussion or disagree with the discussion, make sure you leave your comments below and let me know. You can follow these lovely people on their social media platforms. I'll have it in the description box below. Thanks for watching.
Thanks
Take
for
it
checking
easy.
it out.
Peace.
Follow E2 for real. She's for real. We the real deal.
Kicking it.
Peace.
All right.
Wow.